Yeah, we were there in June of 2022. So that was the first time that we had played
Okay.
that we had played that venue. We had been there, I think 3 years before, opening for Trooper, and it
Oh,
was a
hell yeah.
great, and we had a great, just such a great response, from the audience, because I mean, lots of times people tend to not care that much about the opener, but we had so much support, so we really liked North Battleford as a town, and then then the people at Shenanigans got a hold of us. Hey everybody, I am Randall X. Baylor from Punch Drunk Cabaret, and this is another episode of the Sit Down Podcast.
Smash
The like button.
Smash
The subscribe button.
Smash.
holy shit. That's where you were going with that? Have you heard about our new radio station? It's called Funky Moose Radio, where we play alternative and indie rock, sprinkle in some blues and Americana. We feature the music from our guests on this podcast at least once per hour. These songs can be in any genre. We're working on getting the station on every mobile app available, but the easiest way to listen is at funkymooseradio.ca. You should also become a VIP because we'll be giving away some prizes. Again, check it out at funkymooseradio.ca.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Welcome, Randy.
Welcome, Randy.
Thank you.
So
Wait.
nice.
You introduced yourself as Randall, but you go by Randy, right?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. Randy amongst
It's
friends.
the same. There you go.
So-
well, welcome to the show, Randy. We are very honored to have you here. So for those of you watching or listening, Randy's in the band Punch Drunk Cabaret out of Edmonton, or is it Edmonton? I know it's Alberta.
Yeah, it's kind of central Alberta. Actually, there's three of us, and each one of us are in a different city. So I'm closest to Edmonton.
Right.
The other guys are kind of closest to Red Deer, but we're kind of this homeless central Alberta band.
Heck yeah. So yeah, we're very honored to have you on. So these guys are out of Alberta, and you guys just had a release of a new music video, right?
Yeah, a new single that we did a video for as well called "Shot Out from a Cannon," and it's the first new music that we've released since COVID. So we're pretty excited about it because, of course, like everybody else, we were sidelined. And the last time we released an album, which was 2020, I think we released it in May, and of course everything shut down in March of that year. And we had, I mean, we had put all this prep. We had a tour booked around it, and it really kind of just killed that album. So yeah, it feels like we're finally kind of getting back to the cycles of recording and touring again.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I watched the video today, and dude, I it's fucking awesome, dude.
The moment
It's
you
so
hit
good.
play, it's like, what is this? What's gonna happen? Because there are three guys sweeping a stage and some asswipe coming in telling you what to do. I like it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
truly entertaining for sure. Like after watching that video, I watched a few more of your videos afterwards, and the vibe that you guys gave me, like I'm gonna make it my life's mission. I need to see you perform live.
Yes.
Like,
are you coming
I
to
have to.
Yeah.
Are you coming to Saskatchewan anytime soon?
Well, I mean, we're always looking, to come to Saskatchewan. The first two albums that we did were done in Saskatoon. So Saskatoon was like our second home. I mean, we spent a lot of time there, and even before my previous band, we recorded in Saskatoon as well. So Saskatoon is kind of like a second home, but I don't know, we just don't get out there that much. We do a lot of special events, I mean, we do a lot of festivals and sometimes theaters and things like that. And we're not as well known in Saskatchewan to kind of get those types of. I apply to the festivals every year, but yeah, it's pretty rare actually that that we make it out there. So
Heck yeah, dude. And actually I was reading your website too, and I noticed that you guys it said on your website that you guys performed. I'm trying to remember what month. I want to say it was in February. You did something in Red Deer where there was like a couple comedians that opened up, and then you guys closed the show. I forget what the name of that event was called, but that was in February, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. What can you tell us how that was? Like, I'm on the same page as what your website said about how there's a lot of similarities in comedy and like it's an art form, right? And these performers are taking the stage and working on their craft and stuff. And like I said, there's just a lot of similarities there. And the fact of combining the two for a showcase, I'm very curious on how that went and how it panned out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was really interesting for me because I was kind of the nerd backstage because I was asking the comedians about their process because it's so interesting to me because I've been in bands since I was a teenager and I've only ever played a solo acoustic gig once, and I hated it so much I just said I don't ever want to do that again. So it kind of blows my mind this idea of people going out and they take on that audience by themselves. And then I'm also curious as to what's the writing process, because it seems like it's all off the top of their head. You know, we know it isn't. Mm-hmm. For some, you know, I mean, there's some amazing improv people, and I guess that's how they do it. But I was very curious as to what is the process, and you know, in a band, everything is done by committee all the time. You know, for better or for worse.
Right.
You know, and in their world, it's just one person, but it seems so daunting to me. So I asked a lot of questions of those poor guys before the show, because it was just a unique opportunity for me to, you know, to be in this on the same bill as them. I mean, the only thing that's a bit odd about it is that the energy is so different. You know, the energy from a comedian is very different than a band, and our band is we're also quite theatrical, and so that's a whole different element, you know, to it as well. But you know, we really like being on bills where there's a diversity in entertainment. You know, I mean, we also do shows that's combined with burlesque, and those are really cool shows. And that's a really different energy too. But it's very fitting. So I kind of love I don't know if it was like sort of growing up on, you know, Johnny Carson, seeing that really young or something. But the idea of the variety show is really interesting to me because it keeps people entertained, and they're not, you know, they're not just hearing loud rock music for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. For sure. No, I totally agree with you. So some of our listeners know this already, but so Mark and myself have been hosting the open stage nights at the Capitol Music Club in Saskatoon. On Tuesdays. And the last couple weeks in a row, there's been comedians, like local comedians that have been coming in, and we've been putting those guys up on stage too. Like, why the hell not? It's an open stage, right? Doesn't mean that it has to be, you know, an acoustic set or whatever. Like, no, like it's if you're an artist and you want to showcase something, like this is the place to do that. And I think it's been going well. The first night we did it, there was 4 comedians that were in, and like the way we've got it structured is 20-minute slots. And so because that was the first time, what we did was we took a 20-minute block and they each went up and did 5 minutes kind of thing in that 20 minutes. That was the first night we did it. And then last week, what we did, there was only 2 comedians there, and between every couple acts, we would put up a comedian for like 2 minutes, go up for 1 or 2 minutes and work out your material, like try and pepper it out, see what works. And I think that worked really, really well, actually. It was like a little mix up, a little downtime as the next band is setting up. You got somebody up there slinging jokes and being relatable for 2 minutes max. You know what I mean?
And it kind of gave that, you know, people are there for the music, but when you're in a bar, a lot of people are talking to each other and not really paying attention to the music anymore. But when you have a comedian, people turn their heads and it's like, oh, wait a minute,
Yeah, what's
what
this
is
guy?
this?
What's he doing up there? What's he saying?
And it kind of also drew the attention back to the stage, so that if a musician went back on, it was like, oh yeah, there's music here. Let's listen to this.
Yeah, it was a nice mix up. So when I saw on
Yeah.
your website that you guys had done that with some comedians, I was very intrigued on it. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Like the mutual respect amongst the arts, right? I love it.
Yeah. And it also seems like the people that are there are receptive to, having variety on stage.
Yeah.
So that's good too.
Yeah, the ones that are paying attention anyway.
Yeah.
Because not everybody, some people are just going there to wind down and stuff, right? But I want to talk more about you guys, though. So how long has Punch Drunk Cabaret been together? Like, how long has the band been around for?
This fall, we'll be a brand new band for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
Snap. Right on.
Who came up with the name?
I did. It came from a lyric in one of the first batch of songs that we had, and the challenge, I've always found is how do you find a name that represents your sound? And sometimes you're not even sure what your sound is, when you're starting a band. But we knew that we wanted our shows to be, an event rather than just a band that's just playing. And so that's kind of where that cabaret part came from, is because when you hear cabaret, it sounds like an event. It sounds like something interesting or exciting is going to happen. And the Punch Drunk, it's probably from, just my history of playing these, top rough and tumble oil town bars in Alberta, where, lots of times it was a battle, it's either a battle to win that audience over, or sometimes, that audience was turning on you, and you had to, you were being bullied, and then you kind of had to battle back. So, Punch and Drunk just kind of sounded like, I like that sort of 1920s bare knuckle boxer image that sort of came along with that, which is kind of counter, or it's kind of a dichotomy to what a cabaret would be about, So I kind of like, there's a bit of a juxtaposition in there, not to get too deep about it, but thirdly, you're always looking for a name that's different and gets people's attention. Go, well, what would that band? I wonder what would they sound like?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
It got my attention when you reached out.
Good.
I think, was it the subject? I think it was a subject that said Punch Drunk Cabaret, and something along the lines of on the podcast. And I was like, okay, let's read this email.
Hell yeah. No, I'm very happy that you did. I honestly, I wouldn't have known who the heck you guys are if you hadn't reached out, if I'm being dead honest about it. I'm sure in time we would have crossed paths, but it couldn't have been better timing. Dude, like, I had so much fun watching those videos today. I really enjoyed the one, what's it called again? Something about a crush on a goth girl or something. Yeah. What's the title of that track? Is that it?
Bad crush on goth girls. Yeah.
Dude, I love the song. I love the video. Your videos are great. Do you always get the same guys to film it and like the same production, or do you alternate?
And do you do music videos for all your songs?
No, I wish we could. But videos are tough in the way that they're kind of they're pricey to make, even when you do a lot of the stuff yourself, which we end up doing, it's still expensive to make, and of course, you don't put out a DVD or anything like that, so there's no way to recoup those costs. So for us. Yeah, we're always. It just takes a long time to save up for, and we've found some ways to make cheaper videos, and that's sometimes based on the treatment. If I come up with something, and it's, I don't know, and you could do it on a small scale, it's it's no different than film. Sometimes people can have, the Blair Witch Project. It was a concept that could be done really, really cheaply, but there's lots of other concepts that it's just like you need a budget for, and so that's what gets us, and it's harder. It's harder now than ever. There's less funding out there for music videos than there used to be. So that's that kind of slows us down. But if I had my way, we'd make a video for every song, and we used to
for every song.
We used to debate in the band if it was worth it, because you'd spend $4 or $5 grand on a one video for one song, and then we found out over time that other than seeing us live, that was the most popular way that people were finding out about us. And they were learning the music. They were coming to shows, knowing the songs, because they were binge watching videos, the week before.
Right. That's my go-to. Like, I've got a Spotify account, but generally, like, when we've got artists coming on the show, I'm looking up their YouTube channel and I want to see what kind of music videos they got, because there's just a different connection there. I want to see what kind of imagery they're projecting to me. Like, what am I supposed to take from this, as opposed to trying to figure it out myself metaphorically or whatever, right? You know what I mean?
And I'm different. I like being able to put my own spin on it. So I usually listen to just the songs, but for whatever reason, I looked up your website and you have all your videos there, and the videos captivated me enough to hit play on the next one and play on the next one. And I think there are
they're so good, man.
I think there are a lot of bands that put videos out there that are good, but if I don't see them and just hear them, I'm okay too.
Right.
So
man, and then I'm a 80s 90s guy, so grew up with like MTV, Much Music, right? So I wish that shit would come back, dude. I love music videos. I'm all about them. But
Funky Moose
the
TV?
Crush on a
Funky Moose TV.
Funky Moose videos.
Yeah.
The one with the crush on the goth girl, I was really, it not the song, not the music aspect of it, but the music video part of it really reminded me of like a Rob Zombie video.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. There's like that kind of quote unquote Elvira lookalike at the start of the video and stuff. I was like, dude, like, who's that girl? I kind of have a little sweet tooth on that girl. You should introduce me. She was cute. Yeah, no, it's great, man. I loved it. Big fan over here.
Cool. Well, you know what? I mean, that's our era that we grew up, 80s and 90s too. And in my mind, the things are not, as a songwriter, I immediately think to myself, how do we present this? So this is what the song sounds like this, but now how do we perform it? What does the performance of that song look like? And if we have the ability to do it, what does that video treatment look like? And it's difficult sometimes because bands sometimes they have these high budget videos that are really great and really elaborate, but it overshadows the song. Like I don't even notice the song because there's just kind of so much going on. And, we always try to be careful that the video serves the song and, that the song doesn't get lost in the video.
Right.
So do you, when you create the song, when you're writing the lyrics, do you have the video in your head already? Or is that only after the video, after the song is done, that's when you start focusing on the video?
Yeah. And I've had to learn the hard way that the video treatment is very much based on what's possible. Like what can you get a budget for? What are the resources, that you have? And, so lots of times it's limitations that inform the decisions that we make. Limitations on what spaces we can get, what actors, or friends of ours that can act or are willing to act, who's available, all of those things inform. The new video we really had to do on the cheap because everybody's recovering from COVID when we weren't making any money. So it was a hell of a challenge to come up with a concept that didn't cost very much money, and there was numerous treatments that we were looking at, and really for the longest time it was just going to be just the performance part of that, because we thought we've been away for a while, we have a new member, and maybe that's all it needs to be. And then our producer, who's also the drummer, just said, you can't do that because people expect more from Punch Drunk Cabaret videos. You need a narrative. You need something that's fun in there. And it was just like, okay, then.
I think he's absolutely right. I'm gonna agree with him because I feel like you've set your bar on a high level there, so you can't go lower than that now. Like that's all there is. You guys are great.
Well, thanks, and we do think awesome. We think of the if you're we think of ourselves as performers and entertainers, and so it has to be like that. You're still performing and entertaining when you're making a video, I think.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree for sure. No,
I think budget is usually a limitation for any band, because if that wasn't the limitation, there were a lot of $80,000 music videos out there.
Yeah. Dude, I remember. Do you remember the video? It's Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson.
Scream. Yeah.
That was the first video that was $1 million. That video cost $1 million to make,
and that wasn't
even in its day.
And that wasn't even high production.
You could make that video on your phone now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Yeah.
I also read on your website that you guys performed. I don't know if this was before or after the Red Deer show, but at Shenanigans in North Battleford.
Right. Yeah.
Was that before the Red Deer one? Was that your first show coming back after pandemic?
Yeah, we were there in June of 2022. So that was the first time that we had played.
Oh, okay.
That we had played that venue. We had been there, I think 3 years before, opening for Trooper, and it was a great, and we had a great, just such a great response, from the audience, because lots of times people tend to not care that much about the opener, but we had so much support, so we really liked North Battleford as a town. And then then the people at Shenanigans got a hold of us, and we didn't know what to expect. Shenanigans is more like a coffee house than a venue, and so we weren't sure how we were going to go over. And then that went really, really well. And then they brought us back for New Year's in 2022.
Shit, yeah, dude.
So what's on the agenda for this year?
Well, luckily we're looking at our busiest summer to date. So we get going at the end of June, and I think we're out for every weekend for a month and a bit. So mostly around Alberta. We head out to Kamloops. We'll get out to BC and do a festival out there as well. And we're booking into September already. So, it's just a huge relief because after things shutting down for nearly 2 years, no one knew what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. What were you guys when everything was shut down and everybody, clearly it was bad for everybody, right? But what were you guys doing? Were you guys taking that time to create new songs? Were you writing, or was it just kind of wait it out and then pick it up from when it opened up again? What were you guys doing during the pandemic?
So it didn't phase us in the beginning because we were releasing an album. So we were finishing mixes, and we were really busy with that. And then I think like everybody else, we thought the pandemic was going to last a month. So we just thought, by the time we thought, here's some extra time to tweak the mixes and everything was. And then we took the challenge, and we started to make videos almost for every song, but they were, like very visual, lyric videos, like not full production videos, but smaller little videos. So we stayed really productive for a while, and then the reality hit us. We're in this for the long haul, and you could just see there was no momentum building on the album because there was no live support for it.
Right.
And from that point on, the band started to self-destruct.
Yeah.
And,
that makes sense.
So you said you had a new member. Did that happen over COVID, or was that already before COVID that you got a new member?
Yeah. So what happened was our longtime drummer, Sean Watts, who was also freelanced. He was making his living from music. So he was freelancing as a sound tech, freelancing as a drummer as well. So he was financially hit the hardest because all of any income stream was destroyed for him. Teddy and I had day jobs that we could still go to that were unaffected, but Sean was hit the hardest. And towards the end of it, he was offered. He got a really good offer as a full-time sound tech for a signed country act, touring act, and came to us and said, "I've got this offer I have to take," and we understood, but it was such a strange situation because it was a case of he didn't want to leave and we didn't want him to leave, and so for about 6 or 8 months we tried to make the schedule work, and we were losing show after show after show, and then that's when you start to get frustrated with each other and you start butting heads, and we said, okay, we have to do something different, and we could not find a drummer. So as you saw in the videos with Sean is a stand-up drummer. He plays standing up, which is so rare that we knew we weren't going to find somebody like that. But when we started to put out the feelers and talk to, touring musicians that we felt were of the same caliber, they were saying back to us, they're like, dude, we really like your band, but we can't do what your drummer does. We're not, and we were getting that, time and time again. It was just like, so for a bit, we thought maybe the band was finished. And then we got talking about how do we move forward when you kind of have somebody that's not replaceable. And the only way that we could find to do that is you have to do something different. We can't do the same thing anymore. And then that's when I reconnected with Rob Descharmes, who was a former bandmate in a previous band. And we thought, well, what if we kind of go a bit more of an electronic? We mixed kind of the rootsy stuff with more of an electronic thing, and then we started talking about, could we put the drums on tracks? If you have a great drummer but he can't tour, can you box him up and take him with you?
Right, definitely.
And that was the most scary thing that I've ever done in music, because I didn't know if we would be accepted. Is, can you be this high energy rock band and get on stage and you don't have a live drummer? And I didn't know if I didn't know if we were going to get booed. I didn't know if we wouldn't get hired, because they don't see that venues don't see that as a legitimate band. We didn't know. And but we just thought this was the solution to our problem. Because we could continue the band kind of with the people that we had, and it's gone over incredibly well, because the keyboard player Rob, I mean, he just creates a whole other visual, and I mean, he's very high energy and performance oriented as well. Plus, he's a percussionist, so I mean, as you saw in the video, in the Shot Out of a Cannon video, he has a tom with a trigger in it, so he's triggering sounds, which is very akin to electronic music. He's a big electronic music fan, and so we're incorporating elements of that as well.
Frickin' right.
Very cool. I like it.
A question I have for you is, would you grant us permission to play the video in this episode for a shot out of a cannon? All right. Well, we'll spin it here for you guys watching at home right now. Here's Shot Out of Cannon by Punch Drunk Cabaret.
All right, listen up, ladies. The band will be on set in 10 minutes, at which time I need you broom jockeys the hell out of here. Comprendo, muchachos?
Star style like a wolf that's unaware of all rise, high fives. We won't apologize to the dumbed down masses. They consume the Sunday Times.
Whoa, sheer acceleration. Whoa, is the destination. Crashing through the door, in the middle to the floor. Whoa, shot out from a cannon now.
Charge on, like we're on the Autobahn. Bombshell basics detonating on the lawn. Well, too bad, so sad. Salivating in a cab with the soiled reputation of a deadbeat dad.
Whoa, sheer acceleration. Whoa, is the destination. Crashing through the door, in the middle to the floor. Whoa, shot out from a cannon now.
Stand up, stand tall, keep your eye up on the ball. Espresso macchiato with a shot of alcohol. Breathe in, breathe out. Was there ever any doubt? The trash can caravan was sure to come about.
Whoa, sheer acceleration. Whoa, is the destination. Crashing through the door, in the middle to the floor. Whoa, shot out from a cannon now. Whoa, sheer acceleration. Whoa, cue the celebration. Crashing through the door, in the middle to the floor. Whoa, shot out from a cannon now.
You almost forgot the name there.
I almost fluttered on the word for sure. Definitely. Shit, yeah.
I like that video.
It is great. It's you can get the whole like that's what made me want to see you guys live was that video. It was like, holy fuck, like if they're doing this on video, like there's clearly restrictions there and stuff. Like, can you imagine what they're like on stage live?
Yeah, how often do you work out to keep that up?
Every day.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Did you mentioned earlier at the top of the show that you've been playing since you were 8 or 9, or am I making that up?
Yeah. I mean, I started, kind of fooling around with instruments because, we had my mom owned a guitar, but I got serious about music, when I was about 14, and by 15, I was in my first band.
What was the name of that first band you were in?
Bad Apple.
Nice. I love it. Do you ever in where you're at today musically, do you ever do like little wink and nods to previous stuff that you've done in the past? Like, for example, an example would be like, would you ever use Bad Apple as a lyric in a new song now, as a wink and a nod to yourself for that first band that you were in when you were 14? Do you know what I mean? Do you ever do anything like that?
I don't think consciously, but I think, I mean, I think you have certain, certain over time you develop a certain style, which is usually based on limitations, and so there's little things that, I definitely, that's one thing that's never left me is an appreciation for '80s music. I'm still a huge supporter, and I'll debate that all day long. That some of the best music, some of the worst came out of the '80s too, but it's an unreal. It was an unreal time for the to think that Michael Jackson, people like Michael Jackson and Eddie Van Halen, Prince, these people were all recording at the same time. Sometimes they put albums out in the same year. Sometimes they collaborated,
right?
Like on Beat It, right? So I mean, it's incredible, and I kind of can't get away from that, even though I really tried to when this band started, because this was a very different direction than anything I had ever done. This was the whole point of the band was to investigate the styles of music that I heard when I was like really really young, which was like some country and swing music and early rockabilly, and these are styles I had never played with before. But over time, yeah, I mean, the '80s stuff just kind of keeps creeping in, and now we can embrace that a little bit more by having a keyboard player, because it's pretty it's limiting as a a power trio, but when you got a synth on board, sky's the limit.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, let's talk a little bit about how you released the new song. Like, was the single and the music video, were they released the same day, or was there a space in between there? Like the single came out and then 2 weeks later the video, or how did you do it? And where? Yes, let's start with how did you go about releasing the new track?
Yeah, it was really close together for both of them. I remember talking to Sean about this, and he was saying, well, people tend to be releasing the song, 1 month, and then the next month they put out the video. But as we're so visual that it didn't make any sense to me to put out the song for a month with no visuals attached to it, and then a month later try to get people excited about the song again because now there's a video. I just thought it just seemed like it should be one thing. Like see the video, and if you like the video, you can go stream the song.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
But I also understand the other, like, for you, it might be a little different because you're such a visual band, but I think a lot of times you can get a little bit more attention out of it once you drop the song itself, and then 2 weeks later or a month later, oh, here's the video, and then people are re-watching and checking out the band again. So you have kind of a 2-month streak instead of one.
I don't think there's like a right or wrong way to do it.
No, it all depends.
I think a good marketing. I think a good marketing person would do what Mark said, but we were, we were just kind of, like I said, we've been sitting on the bench for 2 years, and it was just like, just put it all out there. Let's get on with it.
Guess what I do for a living.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like I read somewheres that your albums are on vinyl as well. Is that accurate?
Just one. Yeah, we just have one album on vinyl. Yeah.
All right. Can you tell our audience, like, how was that process for you? Like, whether it was exciting or stressful, or like, how did you go about getting everything lined up?
When was that record released?
I think in 2019. The thing that we did that was unique about it was we were getting quite a few people asking us after shows, do you have vinyl? And we didn't, because vinyl was quite expensive compared to CDs. And so we talked a lot about what that would look like, and then we decided to put out a live album on vinyl only. And for at least a year, or maybe even 2 years, it wasn't available online, because we liked that idea that the only way you could get this live album was, it did come with a download card. So, I mean, people had that option, but we didn't put it on iTunes or anything for quite a while, because we like the idea that made it special. So,
right,
I mean,
the
in many
novelty
ways,
of it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the easiest album we ever made, because Sean, our drummer, at the time being a recording engineer, he just recorded the show every night. So we, most of the time, we didn't even know it. And then we had lots and lots of he was just doing it for kind of his own interest and to practice mixing and things like that. And then when this idea got brought up, there was just lots of performances to pull from, and
right.
So it was pretty easy to do that. But and we were getting good momentum on that album. But like I say, then by 2020, everything was shutting down again. So
is that vinyl record, like, is it still available to purchase? That vinyl?
Absolutely.
Like
yeah.
Where would be the best place if somebody wanted to purchase that album to get it? Would it be just directly from your website, I presume?
Yeah.
If Mark and I buy copies, could we get them autographed from you guys?
I can fix you up. I know a guy.
you might know a guy who can hook us up. Hell yeah, dude. Freaking rights. I want my hands on one of those.
We'll talk some more, because maybe we can order a few extra and stock them here on the site.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. How many full albums does Punch Drunk Cabaret have in total?
5.
5 albums.
Yeah.
Oh,
so every 2 years, faithfully every 2 years, we put out an album, and that's why it was so. It was so strange for us to have this layoff, because we from the time the band started, you put out an album, and then you'd play as much as you could behind it for a year and be writing new material, and in 2 years' time you had another one coming out. So, and it was actually getting to the point that we realized that we were starting to have too many albums at the merch table. It was starting to overwhelm people, because they'd ask, well, they'd see 5 albums, well, which one should I get? And so
all of them, right?
But but very productive. We stayed very productive, and we were fortunate, because later on, like I say, the first 2 albums were done in Saskatoon at Cosmic Pad with Ross Nikiforuk, who was I don't know if you know Ross. He was the keyboard player with the Northern Pikes. So
okay. Northern Pikes I'm familiar with.
Yep.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
In a previous band, my previous band was called Screw Tape Lewis, and Jay Simcoe from the Pikes produced one of those albums. So that's how I got to know Jay, and then Ross was mixing and so on. So but then over time, Sean was building a studio in his basement, and then we were able to record really affordably, and that just makes you more productive, because it doesn't, you're not taking a $20,000 hit to put out an album.
Right. Life on the road. Can we talk about that a little bit? Like touring and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure.
What? Okay, so where's is the farthest that you guys have been to perform from home, and how did you guys get there?
The furthest that we played was Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, for a steampunk festival, and we flew there. And it was an application. They were looking for bands, and this was the biggest steampunk festival in Canada. And somehow I found out about it on social media, and I just thought, and we had played some steampunk events, on the prairies, and it always went over really well. And so we sort of just threw our, pardon the pun, but threw our hat in the ring. And and we got accepted, and so we flew out there, and it was really cool. We played with these like kind of these big time American steampunk bands, and it was really, really cool.
Excellent.
Awesome. Was that also one of your favorite festivals of all time, or was there one that
Tops
is still in your memory? Like that was the one.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they're all kind of cool for their own reasons. I find festivals really have their own individual vibe. The most disappointing one was a Saskatchewan one, which was the Dog Patch Festival at Loon Lake.
Oh, really? We've had those guys on the podcast here before too.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with them. It's just that I can't remember. I think it was maybe like a 5-hour, 6-hour drive for us or whatever. And beautiful weather. And then as we were setting up it all clouded over, rained like hell, like was dry, like drove people, like to shelter for like 60 minutes, which was our set. And literally by the time we were done, everything cleared up and next band came on like nothing had happened. So I don't know. It was like being cursed that time. And what do you do?
Oh my God. What year would that have been?
Must have been about 2017, maybe 2016,
Okay.
2017. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've been around for probably a decade.
A long time, yeah.
Like 10, 12 years or something.
I can assure you, Mark did not order rain on you.
Yeah,
on purpose.
no
No.
doubt. Mark's a really good guy.
Yeah, in fact, we were
Heck yeah.
we were already talking this year, and there's a good chance we'll be back next year because I whined enough about being rained out that and actually the same thing is when we do a festival, Rib Fest in Kamloops, and that happened. Same thing happened and that was maybe 2017 or 18, but it was the year that they had the horrible wildfires, and they had no rain for I don't know, like 3 months or something, and then the night that we played it rained. So good for them, but bad for us. So
Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption, you guys. I just wanted to tell you guys about Muse Canada. They're a new arts and entertainment media connection and support network. Skip the algorithms of social media and connect with other entertainment professionals across Canada. Sign up today for $5 a month or use the promo code FunkyMoose2021 for 10% off. That is FUNKYMOOSE 2021 for 10% off. Back to the show. So you may or may not have known that we have our own festival here in Bellevue, Saskatchewan called Moosefest, and this year will be our third one. And to be a performer at Moosefest, one of the criteria is you need to be a guest on this podcast. So I just want to let you know that because you're here with us today, that you guys are officially on that list that we can go through of artists to reach out to play to. So,
if you would like to play that.
So just be known that I'm going to be honest about it. I want you guys to play next year. Like, dude, I had a lot of fun listening to you guys. And like I said, I'm going to make it my life's mission to see you live. If I have to bring you to me, I will do so.
Yeah.
Well, that would be the best. That would be the best way to do it, because then it would be, very little effort on your part. Let us do the heavy lifting, and we'll come to you.
Yeah.
That's
like
right.
That.
Yeah. You guys can get the babysitters and come out this way.
That's kind of how we started this whole Moosefest thing, where it's like we want to party, we want to see a lot of bands, but we don't want to, travel the whole province to see, which we also do, but it would be easier if the bands just came to us.
Yeah, it was kind of to give us a break of traveling a lot and bring the bands that we like to us, and that's kind of how it all started.
So this is year 3, next year, year 4.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yes, I definitely we'll have to talk off air about that, but I would like to informally send that invitation out to you guys on this episode.
Yeah.
Put you guys on the spot with that one. Are you okay Can we play 2 videos in this episode? Are you okay if I play that crush on a goth girl so the audience knows what the hell I'm talking about here? If you're all right with that?
Yeah.
Roll on animation.
Performing Bad Crush on Goth Girls. It's Punch Drunk Cabaret.
Snake-bit lips and fingertips as black as hers is passing by. The girls behind those midnight eyes promise a universe divine. Whoa, I got a bad crush on goth girls, black hearts for blue blood in ways that tantalize me. I see them dance in packs, but I never hear them laugh. Oh, they don't care to ever be your friend. Their David Perner hair and deadpan dildo squinting stares of ghostly, otherworldly kind. Whoa, I've got a bad crush on goth girls, black hearts for blue blood in ways that mesmerize me. I've got a bad crush on goth girls, black hearts for blue blood in ways that amplify me. One sharp white glance and I am necromanced. Spells abound that taste so bittersweet. I wish I could forget black kisses on my neck, lost hopelessly on Fascination Street. Whoa, I've got a bad crush on goth girls, black hearts for blue blood in ways that terrify me. I've got a bad crush on goth girls, black hearts for blue blood in ways that terrify me.
What a show.
Do you see what I mean about the Rob Zombie videography
when you
vibes
mentioned
kind of thing?
I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's there was something about it, and that kind of drew me in as well. I freaking love it, and like I said, that I got a little sweet tooth for that girl at the start there. I don't know what it is about her, but
Morticia?
yeah, Elvira.
Yeah.
That's great.
That girl's name is Nina May, and she fronts her own metal band.
Oh, awesome! I need a May. How about
Now we need to get her on the show.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no, it was freaking awesome. Was that video shot like? How long did it take to make that video? Was it like a day, 2 days, a week?
Yeah, it was a 1-day shoot, so it was one long day, and that's and then it always takes longer to edit it and and
Right.
all of those things. You mentioned the Elvira lookalike at the beginning. And the reason for that is that I approached Elvira's actual management because I just thought, wow, maybe, and I thought we could do this where like we wouldn't have to fly her in or anything. She could just shoot this on an nowadays you could shoot something on an iPhone and we could just make it look like it's the setup for
Freaking
for a
rights,
TV
dude.
show. But I got the old corporates. We. I can't remember her actual name.
We regret to inform you. Yeah.
Yeah, that she doesn't own the rights to Elvira. Elvira can't just appear wherever, and so then you have to go through whatever the studio that owns that, and so it was a bunch of red tape that would have been hugely expensive.
Oh, wow.
So, I was completely naive, but I thought, well, what the hell, you never know. But when we talked to Nina about it, she just knew exactly what to do. And, I have to say too about videos is that we've been so fortunate that we've found people and they're usually kind of people that we know, in some way or another, like most of the people in the videos are not professional actors. They're just people that we know that I often hire because they visually look, they'll fit a role.
Right.
But I don't even know if they have any acting talent, and we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, but sometimes, they just kill it. Like there's such good performances in the Goth Girls video from the actors, and that doesn't have anything to do with us.
You are playing a festival coming up in July, if I'm not mistaken, July 25th, and I do not recall the name of the festival. Can you tell our audience what that would be?
Yeah, that's Taste of Edmonton, which is really possible.
Yes, thank you.
Very, very popular in Edmonton, and we played it last year, and they gave us a Monday night. We were the last band on a Monday night, and yeah. But when we got hired, I wasn't going to criticize it because you're just so happy to be getting any gigs, and
right,
and so we just played it, and it went really well, and then the organizer, as soon as we were finished, came over and said, I love the show, I love the energy, and he said, I usually don't bring bands back 2 years in a row, but I have to have you back, and you got to play something other than a Monday night. So
nice.
That's kind of how that goes.
Oh,
nice.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So that'll be July 25th in Edmonton this year, you guys. I don't even know where to direct them to get tickets for that. Where would people get tickets for that if they're in your area?
It's free.
It's a free show to boot.
Yeah, because the Taste of Edmonton. Yeah, you're really going there to eat because that's where all these vendors are, and so there's no admission fee. You pay for whatever food you buy. Yeah, all the concerts are free, and the main headliner this year is the Watchmen.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah.
Have you never been to a Taste of Saskatchewan?
No.
Oh, it's also a free event. Same as Taste of Edmonton, but
Saskatchewan.
But Saskatchewan, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then 2 weeks later we do Taste of Calgary. So.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been to many festivals, if I'm being honest. I've been to Dogpatch, Doyle Fest, Chester Fest, Moosefest, and what's that other one? North.
Oh yeah.
That's coming up right away. Oh, damn it. It's on the tip of my brain. What the hell's the name, like Mitch is part of it? What's the name of that festival?
Oh, Ness Creek?
Ness Creek,
oh, okay.
Thank you. I went to that one once. I think that was like in 2007. No, 2012.
Here
maybe.
in Canada, I haven't been to many either. In Holland, it was like a festival every weekend, so I went to quite a few. But here, it's like, I don't know.
Right.
Only when we started doing the podcast, that's when I started going more and more to live shows, I guess.
Right. Have you guys ever had any thoughts or aspirations to perform overseas? Or attempt to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we just haven't had any kind of real solid contacts to make that happen. But when I started out, when I was playing in a band in the '90s, we got to go to Bulgaria, of all places, and which is in Eastern
Okay.
Europe. And what was interesting about that is the that was just shortly after the fall of the Iron Curtain. They were behind the Iron Curtain, so it was a really interesting time in life. That was about I think in '94. So it was the first time to play overseas, and then to play in a country that was just opening up to Western music was amazing. So yeah, I mean, I love the concept of it. I personally love traveling to Europe. I mean, we try to travel just like my wife and I, every
Right.
couple of years, and just soak in the culture, So and we've been told lots of times that we would do well in many markets in Europe just because of the kind of show that we have.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, I always tell people or artists that I don't know. I don't always tell people this, but I have said it numerous times to certain people, is how I think, like, if they're in the industry to make money, like, clearly it's not an easy task to do if you're a Canadian band, but I truly feel like if you go overseas as a Canadian band, I think your margins are like
Yep.
higher up.
Yep. Because bands
That's
actually get paid there.
yeah, and that's all I was going with that. I just think if artists can do better overseas than they
Yep.
can in Canada. It's
Yep.
crazy.
But then you have to take into account, you have to bring your band there, so that eats up all the profits you're making. Or it depends. If you're doing a big tour, then maybe not. But
Yeah.
if you're just going for one or two shows, then the trip there and the trip back is
Yeah. No, you'd have
Might
to
as well
go
play
for
it.
like a couple months, a
Yep.
month or two, and
Yep.
do a circuit.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
In my opinion.
But
Clearly,
what-
I'm not a musician, or I'm not doing traveling for that reason. So I don't. I'm just talking out of my ass. I have no idea. So this style / genre, whatever you want to call it, that you guys are, did you find it difficult getting started in Alberta, considering Saskatchewan and Alberta are known for a lot of country music? So did you find that as like a wall or a threshold that you guys had to blast through to be able to get to where you are today? And how difficult was that to do?
Yeah, actually, I mean, for all the years that I've played music, this band took off the fastest, and I think it was more rootsy than anything that I had done, especially the early Punch Drunk stuff was definitely more rootsy. But what we kind of got known for was the songs that had a bit of a rockabilly flavor to it, and then there's crossover between rockabilly and outlaw country, like not mainstream country, but and then sometimes we would get some venues would hire, like country venues would hire us because they were trying to do something new, and that always went horribly wrong because their audience did not want anything new, and if you couldn't line dance to it, then it was fisticuffs, So, but it continues to be a struggle. I mean, country and folk in Alberta is just king, and I do feel like we're trying to smash through that constantly. And what's cool about it is that we're often a surprise for people. I mean, like we're starting to get some play on CKUA, which is the community radio station in Alberta, and they're surprised, like they're surprised by it. They're surprised by the energy. They're surprised, by kind of the freshness of the sound, because there's so much country and folk that this sounds like it's really coming from a left hand direction. So that's good.
Right.
It's nice to surprise people.
Hell yeah.
Yep,
Well, and
I agree.
we can tell our watchers and listeners as well that I'm pretty confident that we'll be spinning them on Funky Moose Radio as well now.
If they'll allow us.
If you guys would allow us to, we'd love to get you guys spinning on Funky Moose Radio.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then he's like, fuck that, no way.
Yeah. How dare you play my music?
YouTube only, baby. No, that's all good stuff, man. I had a great day today listening to you guys. I'm very grateful that we're crossing paths here. Like I said, I'm going to make it my life's mission to see you guys perform live. I will be listening immensely now. You got a fan in me, ride or die over here, and I mean that when I say that.
Yep.
So before I let you go here, can you just maybe let the audience know where the best place to find you guys, like all your social media plugs, all that stuff, and we will put those in the description to this video below here.
Sure. Yeah, we're super easy to find online. So punchdrunkcabaret.com. That's easy enough. Facebook is just Punch Drunk Facebook at Punch Drunk Cabaret / Punch Drunk Cabaret. The same thing with Instagram. So we're probably gonna. We haven't done TikTok yet, and we need to get going in that direction. It's just mostly because I haven't been a fan of it, and so I just haven't put the time into making that happen. But we'll get that
right.
We'll get that rolling as well. So
I would say don't. I was going to say I wouldn't. I'm in agreement with you on the TikTok thing, but Mark and I, this is an ongoing argument about TikTok that we've had for years, man.
So here's the thing. I was not on board with TikTok until one of our guests started talking about TikTok. I mean, multiple people talked about TikTok, but then she made a case and I was like, okay, I'll try it. And now I'm making daily TikTok videos and posting them to TikTok and Instagram, and it's a time suck if you also go through the For You feed.
Right now, okay, so just to fill you in here, so Mark's doing these TikTok videos for Funky Moose Records, right? You know, he'll talk about whatever, he'll pick 3 albums and give a little bit of information on them, stuff like that kind of concept,
educational stuff.
Now, your TikTok videos, you're posting those TikTok videos on Instagram as well. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm curious, out of Instagram and TikTok, same video, which ones are getting more traction?
That's not a fair comparison because my Instagram account is 5 years old, 7 years old by now, and my TikTok account is 2 months.
Okay.
So I don't have the same amount of followers on TikTok as I have on Instagram, but it's really hit and miss because some videos on TikTok go what they call viral and have 3 times as many views as on Instagram, and the other videos have the other way around. So
it's just a crapshoot.
Yep.
So, okay. So my question for you, Mark, then is if you're rolling the dice, my question is, why not just take that time and energy and focus on one of them more?
Because different audiences and different algorithm. So the some educational videos do better on Instagram, but then if I do, for example, today I posted a giveaway video, does way better on TikTok. But again, I can't tell that ahead of time, so I just post them to both and see what happens.
Both. Do you put that same video on Facebook too? You should put it as a reel.
Yes, but when you post it to Instagram as a reel, it'll automatically recommend that reel on Facebook. So it's not a Facebook reel directly, but you can still watch it on Facebook as a reel.
Anywho, okay. With that,
You had
useless
to mention
info,
TikTok.
Randy, like I said, we're honored to have met you, even though it is virtually here, man. I can't wait to meet you in person. I'd love to freaking take you out for coffee or a bite to eat sometime, man. Get to know you a little bit better and see you perform live, dude. I want you to know this door is always open. If you guys got something coming out or you want to come talk about it, like, doors open, man. Hit us up. You're part of the herd now. Welcome to the team.
Welcome
man.
to the herd.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, likewise. It's we obviously have never we've never even had a conversation, the three of us, and this has really felt like the three of us actually sitting, together, and it had like there's never been. It's actually really bizarre that we have not met before.
Right.
Yeah.
That's we get that. We actually get that a lot. It's like when we meet people for the first time in person that we've had on the show a couple times or whatever, they're like, wow, you're just like you are on the show. And we're like, yeah, because we're not acting, man. This is what it is. This is what we do. So yes. But yeah, so you guys at home watching or listening, please check them out. Give them some spins. Request them on Funky Moose Radio, if you will, and get tickets to go see them live.
We'll see you next week.